Welcome, folks, to another episode of That's Anita Live. I'm Anita, your host, and this week, again, we're tackling the topic of turning your mess into a message. I am joined by Tyi Flood, host of the online radio show Flood the Block, and author of the book Project Me, 30 Days to a Better You. She's on a mission to help women battle depression and anxiety through awareness and accountability. Welcome, Tyi, to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out, Tyi.
Thanks for having me.
Now, where does your interest come from for helping women with depression and anxiety?
It came from me battling with depression and anxiety. It's interesting because it's something that I've had for probably since my early teens and didn't really realize it. And with depression or anxiety, sometimes you get episodes depending on how the certain stress kind of environments that you're in.
Okay, so when you say that you probably had it since you were a teen, what do you think happened in your teen years that brought on depression?
Well, in my teen years, my first, I guess, episode, so to speak, I was in this teenage love type of situation.
Okay.
A lot of it stemmed from just having a past of not having a father in the household. Being a victim of molestation, due to that. And so my main thing was, love, finding the right guy. And I think it really started out with feeling like, okay, well, that disappointment of, okay, if I did something wrong, they'll leave and things like that. So it kind of started out there. I think I had my first therapy session when I was probably like 15 or 16.
So how did that come about?
Oh,
did you approach the school guidance counselor? Did somebody notice it in you and suggest it?
My boyfriend at the time, and I want to say I was about 16, my boyfriend at the time actually told me to go get some help.
Really?
Because I was talking I was just talking gibberish. And probably to him talking crazy, and was really, I was actually talking about having suicidal thoughts, so to speak.
Really?
So, so he's the one that actually introduced
so now,
me
next
to
step,
that.
how did you find a therapist as a teenager?
I just did some research. I really didn't know what I was doing. I just, I think at that time, obviously, I had to go through a parent. So I told my mom, which wasn't great. Because she was just like, what? What do you need to do that for?
Right.
But I actually talked her into setting me up or talking to my physician, my main physician, to get me a referral.
Okay. So for teenagers out there that may be having difficulty, it is possible.
Oh, it's very much possible. And actually, I'm a huge advocate for even before teenage years, because there's a lot of children that are in elementary school that deal with depression, that deal with anxiety. And the school counselors, I'm sorry, they don't work. They're not really working. They have too many kids they have to look after. So they can't
their position has really been watered down.
It's really been watered down. I mean, a lot of schools now, they do have psychiatrists that come in maybe twice a week or so, but
they're stretched thin because they have so many schools under development they need to cover.
They, and from what we've seen, you turn on the TV, there's always something going on in the schools.
I
really feel like schools really need to pay a little bit more attention to their students and really make sure that if schools aren't, having a better counseling system in there, that they need to, work with the parents to at least, identify some of the children who may need some help.
Okay, so 16, boyfriend suggested that you see someone because you were speaking suicidal thoughts, suicidal contemplation.
Yeah, more so, just talking, just really not loving myself, because I felt as though I wasn't given the love that I felt that I should have. And so that in turn just had me really just kind of thinking, okay, well, no one cares, so why should I care, and that type of stuff. But you hear a lot from kids, when they have their temper tantrums or things like that. No one cares, so why should I, those type of things.
Did therapy help?
What therapy did was, and therapy did was open up a can of worms, which I say, because what, depending on the type of therapy that you see, they try to go, and I can't think of the name of that therapy, but they go backwards in order to bring you current.
Okay,
So they try to dig to figure out why you're dealing with these issues, which a lot of people, they have to address it. You can't really move forward if you don't address your issues that you've had. So it opened up a lot of doors that I closed, and that I just kind of pretty much dug deep. So when I go in there and they're asking me all these questions, and I'm just like, oh no, it was, I wasn't ready. I wasn't really prepared to hear or to really do that. So at that particular time for me, I think it kind of made me feel, I didn't welcome it. I really didn't welcome it. It was scary.
How often did you go?
I think I only probably went a few times.
Yeah, and then you shut it down.
I just shut it down. It was just, it's always that built up anxiety of, I don't want to talk about those things. I want to keep it dug deep. I don't know, so I shut it down and I just went on with my life. But I also, during my teenage years, after I started getting a little bit older, probably a little bit out of high school or what have you, I started just being really just, promiscuous, just really just kind of impulsive. Just in my eyes, I was just like, whatever, I'm just living life and just, and I was really living like, I really didn't have a care. Like I could die tomorrow and I didn't care. It was just more so like, let me just live, have fun, do what I'm gonna do. And
looking back, do you wish you had dug into it?
I really
in those
do.
therapy sessions?
I do. I think looking back, I think I would be in a much better place. I think I would be, even though I feel I'm successful now, to some I may be successful, to myself, I'm always still reaching and reaching. There's really no, I don't know. I think I overachieve because I'm trying to, be better than what I feel like I've been or what have you. I don't know how to put that. But I think that if I did address it, if it was paid more it was paid more attention to, like if my family supported it, I think I probably would be much better. So I probably wouldn't still have the episodes that I have now or things like that. Now, as I'm, older, as I started getting older, my last episode happened probably a few years ago. Was dealing with my son, who was he was in elementary school, starting school. It was just, doing the single mom thing, working all the time, trying to come home, still working because I'm taking care of him. And my job was really, really stressful. Something happened. I had a moment and it just started crashing down on me to where I was at a point of having a nervous breakdown. And I went to...
Wait a minute, paint that picture for me. So when you say things just started crashing down, what does that mean? What
It's almost like having a panic attack, having an anxiety attack where I'm just like breathing real heavily, I am crying, nonstop. I could be, just sitting at my desk and would just be crying. Very moody, very just short and just like, leave me alone. Snapping at people. But the real thing was just crying a lot because at that time, like before then, I wasn't really like a crybaby.
Okay.
But it was like everything would bring, like, I remember being at my son's school, he was having a situation, he was acting up.
What if I told you that you could stop the negative tape from playing inside your head? What if, with 7 simple steps, you could leave the pain of the past behind and live every day as your true, authentic self? It is possible, and you can do it. The ebook, 7 Simple Steps to Beat Emotional Baggage, How to Become Whole, Healed, Healthy, and Happy, shares how to resolve emotional baggage and feel free to live true to your own personality, spirit, and character. Transform negative thinking into positive thinking and become equipped to boldly face your past and resolve emotional pain. Get your free copy at thatanitalive.com/ebook.
Acting up, and I remember every time the counselor or the student support would say that he did this, I would just burst into tears because I was just like, he can't be doing that. He's not doing that at home, and I'm not raising him. Like, it was just a lot. So just dealing with a lot of the pressure of, being this, being a better mom to him, being there, supporting him.
How did you come out of that?
I went back to therapy. I went back to therapy.
Put that work in.
I had to put the work in. And honestly, yeah, it really is about putting the work in. I knew that I had to be better for this child that I was raising. He's really been the motivation, honestly. And he would tell you, like, I'm the best thing that ever happened to my mom, because I would tell him this because he's really been that motivation for me to want to get better and to also want to help other women in turn to get better. I think at my lowest point, I wanted to sleep all day. I didn't want to get up. I knew I had to. I just didn't want to. It was just I didn't have motivation to do anything that I used to enjoy doing.
So what did you do in your counseling sessions? Like, if there were some tips or techniques that you would give people that are listening, what would you suggest to them to help them dig through and get out?
One of my favorite things that I learned in counseling that I actually talk a lot about is meditation. Meditating was something that, I learned in counseling. It was funny because, she was talking about meditation. I'm just like, the Buddha thing, like sitting there and have I was like, oh. So, but she gave me, homework to really she said at least 5 minutes, then up it to maybe 10, then up it, and just really sit, no distractions. And she even told me about how I can download meditation music, like even on Pandora, they have a meditation station. So I did it. I did the homework, and I was doing it. I had to do it every day until I came to see her, and I did feel better. It made me feel a lot better. Which also in turn helped me write a little bit more, because it was when I was younger, I used to write a lot. I have journals.
Once you began to meditate, did you feel clearer in your head?
I did. I felt calmer. I felt really calm. The anxiety, lessened a little bit. I wasn't as much of a worrywart as I am. And I just kind of felt real calm and just relaxed. It's just and then it was even, she gave me tips of, even when you're at work and you can't sit down and close the door, just take a deep breath and count, backwards from 10, and just take a few deep breaths. So I started practicing it. I mean, religiously. I was practicing those because I was still working in a high stress environment. And it was really triggering more and more of that anxiety in me. So it was like either I have to find a way to cope and deal with it, or I have to leave this place. So
how did we get from there to actually starting a nonprofit?
Oh, so the All Group initially started out as... Look
at your face. Did you see how your face lit up?
I didn't want to start a nonprofit. I didn't want to do any more work than what I was doing. But the All Group started with, my first vision for it was to have a support group. Just a support group for moms like me, or even just, young teenage girls that are battling with any kind of home dysfunctions and things like that. That was the vision. And as I started to really dig more into mental health and mental illness, I actually had an uncle that had passed, and he had come to find out, there's always in the family, oh, that's that crazy uncle, whatever, and things like that. And come to find out, he actually had a mental illness. So I just really started to read more about it. I had a girlfriend from high school who had committed suicide as well within those particular time spans. So it was just like a whole bunch of just these things saying you need to focus on mental health. You need to try to see how you can help other women or men, just help them understand their disorder, help them know, that they're not alone, that there are many, many people who probably haven't even been clinically diagnosed that are walking around each day with a mental illness. So then it turned into, okay, let's go ahead. All right, I'm ready. Let's start the organization so I can really be more effective in the community.
So what's the mission of the ALL group?
Well, the mission of the ALL group is to educate, to empower. I mean, awesome women of empowerment, that really just stemmed from me wanting to empower many to, fight those stigmas that are surrounding mental illness. People that may tell you that you're crazy. I'm like, oh yeah, we're crazy, awesome, we're great. And to really hopefully build more resources. There are a lot of individuals who don't really want to go to therapy. They don't feel comfortable. And trust me, I understand. I've been there where I don't want to sit in a chair and I don't want to relive situations that it took time to dig down. So it's also about creating a safe haven, for those who want to talk, who want to vent, but they don't want to go, they don't have insurance or they don't want to sit in someone's chair, that they feel doesn't understand them. Because that's the misconception. They feel like some therapists don't understand them. And I actually just recently met a therapist that kind of opened my eyes up a little bit, because she actually, first time I actually heard a therapist tell her story. And it's like, oh, so you guys are, yeah.
Therapists are people too.
You're people. You actually have experienced this.
Right.
So you could be someone that I can feel comfortable with coming to talk to, because I know you're not looking at me like you're just not interested or that I'm just, really crazy. So
a lot of people that go into helping professions do so because they've had that experience.
And I've learned that more and more as as I've continued to educate myself. I just recently became a mental health first aider as well. And this is something that it was a great class because it opened my eyes to many other things. And that's also something that I'm trying to incorporate in the ALL group too, is to hopefully have more people to become a first aid, because there's someone you're living with or someone that you're a caregiver for that may suffer from mental illness, and it's really important that people understand how to communicate to them. It's really important that people understand how to help them. There's things that you just cannot say, because what you say may affect their actions later, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. There's still a lot of people, like I said, that still, they shame you, or, they still have the stigma around mental illness.
So they think that they should handle the situation with force.
Yeah.
Which only escalates it.
It escalates it.
Now, you've also written a book, Project B, 30 Days to a Better You.
Yeah, so Project
What
Me,
brought this about?
that came about through my meditation days. One of the main things that I had learned, and like I said, me trying to be an overachiever just stems from, the disorder of feeling like I have to be perfect and I have to achieve things. So being a mother, being, a leader at my job, just feeling like I have to be everything. This book is more so talking about how I can be a better person for myself and taking the time for myself. So it kind of jots down 30 things that you can do to really take care of yourself so that you could be that perfect wife, that perfect mother, that perfect, boss or what have you. So I wrote the book, and it says 30 days to a better me. That was just something that I had came up with for the name of it, because I wanted it to be kind of like a challenge for, you know, an individual to challenge themselves to create a better environment for them, to challenge themselves to be their own project. You know, we have a ton of project managers, and I'm a project manager, so it was just like, you know, you're managing all these different projects.
Okay.
You know, if you're a boss, you having all these different people coming in your office telling you this and that, and you're like, oh my gosh. But it's like, okay, how can I better manage me so that I'm more effective in the things that I really want to do?
Okay, so let me call out a couple of chapter titles, and you give me an overview of that chapter. Revisit your old passions.
So that comes from when you are dealing with depression, especially, you lose all sensation of things you used to like to do. For me, it was, you know, I didn't enjoy being out, being social all the time. I didn't want to do that. Even down to just doing the entertainment and arts things that I grew up on doing. I was just like, I don't feel like doing that. So it was more so just revisiting the goals, the passion and goals that you thought you wanted to accomplish, or you wrote down to accomplish years ago, and you forgot all about it because you've been too, you know, enthralled in what's going on now.
I don't want to fall in love.
Yeah.
Go on, spill it. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Let me think. So that chapter, it's kind of an oxymoron. It's more so. It's really about not really wanting to deal with the disappointments of being in love.
Okay.
Don't want to fall in love with people, with men in general that didn't really know how to love me. And then also it was just like, I talk a lot about trying to love myself more in that chapter.
Don't eat your way to happiness.
I like to eat. And so that's another downfall of when you go through certain depressions and things like that. There's some people, when they're depressed, they tend to not eat. Some people and others, they tend to eat a lot. So trying to motivate myself to get back in better shape, to not eat everything that I saw, to really use exercise, which exercise is one of the top ways to help, you know, cope. And one is a coping mechanism as well if you're dealing with depression or any kind of mental illness is exercise. So that's what it touched on, is, you know, being healthier physically.
Okay. We'll be right back. We'll be joined by Davita to talk about what it's like being on Tyi's board.
What if I told you that you could stop the negative tape from playing inside your head? What if, with 7 simple steps, you could leave the pain of the past behind and live every day as your true, authentic self? It is possible, and you can do it. The ebook, 7 Simple Steps to Beat Emotional Baggage, How to Become Whole, Healed, Healthy, and Happy, shares how to resolve emotional baggage and feel free to live true to your own personality, spirit, and character. Transform negative thinking into positive thinking and become equipped to boldly face your past and resolve emotional pain. Get your free copy at thatanitalive.com/ebook.
And we're back talking with Ms. Tyi Flood about mental illness and how her 501c3, the R Group, Awesome Women of Empowerment, assists people in the community. We're joined now by one of her board members to discuss. You're both on each other's boards for 501c3s.
Yeah.
Is it difficult for the two of you to work together?
No.
To know who's in charge at what time?
No, it's so funny because both of and the reason why it's easy is because both of our missions kind of coincide. And we both have that similar passion for, like, my passion for her mission, you know, with I just want to help, is the same with my passion for the all group, because to me it's all one. We both attack the same pretty much issues, and we both have similar things that we're also growing from and we're learning from. So it makes it so much easier to, to work together and to be on each other. It just made sense to.
But the responsibility changes based on which group is, I guess, claiming responsibility for the activity, no?
Well,
It's almost like where you go, I go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's we tag team a lot of the endeavors that we have. Like today, we tag team. We believe in we are blessed, so we are a blessing to others, and I mean it has worked beautifully for us. Obviously, if we don't agree with something, it's just that we don't agree with it, and then we work our way through it. But it has been a true blessing to be able to work with someone who we both kind of share the same work style. We do. We're both workhorses. We're both perfectionists.
Were you friends before starting the 501cs?
Yeah.
I met Davida by tasting one of her delicious cupcakes. She actually was a guest on Flood the Block radio show.
Okay.
And she came in as a guest to demonstrate her cupcakes. And that's how we met. And I don't know how long it took us to kind of connect, but it came, gosh, I don't even know how long it took us, but I don't know what that conversation was, but for some reason we had a conversation over the phone that just kind of just started to grow.
Okay.
And we noticed the similarities and experienced some of the things that we wanted to do was similar, and I think that's what helped kind of grow. It's like I always joke, and I call her like my pastor / therapist sometimes, because I would start to feel comfortable with confiding in her about certain things, and I would say vice versa for her. So that's how we kind of met. It really was one of those things like we met for a reason. It wasn't intentional. I thought I was just going to eat cupcakes on that day, and she was just going to be a guest on the show, but it ended up turning into a bigger bond than that.
So how has that changed how either of you run your organizations?
She runs her organization the way she wants to run it, and I run mine the way that I want to run it.
But in your organizations, how do you express yourselves when you disagree on a certain point?
We talk it out. We're very straightforward with each other, and I think that's extremely important, especially if you're doing an organization or a business owner in general. You have to be
Always remember, there is nothing you are not worthy of. Take a good look at your situation and assess whether or not you've accomplished all of your dreams. If not, then it's time to get busy creating a life you would love to live. Like Tyi, put in the work, dig down deep. If you should need to create a journey to your emotional healing, never be afraid to do so. To reach out to Tyi, visit theogroup.org. I'm Anita, your host. Be sure to check out thatanitalive.com for where and when to see our next episode.